I want to start this video out by saying, for the past month, ever since I started my stream, I've been dealing with it crashing all the time and having a lot of problems, and I've made a lot of improvements. I've got my router with some aluminum shielding around it so that they have a harder time knocking out the stream. At one point it was crashing multiple times of the day, every 30 minutes. And today what I did was I took Suno AI and I wrote a song about the consequences of jamming frequencies and all that, and penalties, talked about the penalties, and I put it on loop on the station this morning, or on the channel on loop, and I walked around the neighborhood and listened to it. Normally when I walk around the neighborhood, I can't even listen to my headphones. They'll stop multiple times. I worked here in the park, and the only time I can listen to my headphones and walk around the park is at 3 o'clock in the morning with my dogs. Then there's no problems. Other than that, it just stops. Anyways, so I made that song and I walked around the neighborhood. And today, since I did that, there has been almost no problems. I've even been able to hook up my other router that I can't protect as much. And it's interesting that I've been sitting here watching this off and on for a month and looking at what's going on and how I can make a song with the FCC and put it on loop and go take my dogs for a walk around the neighborhood, and nothing's happened all day. Nothing. I've been able to have it at 5 megabits all day, and I haven't been able to do that since I started messing with this. And it's the first day. It's been running all day at 5 megabits. I just wanted to have a station that was something, that I was messing with, make people think, and then it turned into, it grew. I spent 2 days on Twitter, and it really changed a lot. It ended up with a lot of words on it, and it is what it is, and I've just started making videos. But coming by and jamming my stuff all the time and all that, it's really unnecessary. When I moved into this neighborhood, I got a job here, and there's some beef with some other people, with someone else who worked here and all that. And my thought, other people share this opinion with me when I say that they were trying to mess me up and shoot me in the leg with a BB so I couldn't work, and it would mess up the new supervisor or the person, so I got nailed with a BB. I may have took a couple of days off, but the thing was I didn't want to let them win per se. And not saying I understood the dynamics of the other the whole situation, but I'm just an employee. I just work here. I didn't deserve to get shot by a BB, and it has had its lasting effects, and that really wasn't fair to me because of y'all's beef, and on top of it, I showed up every day to work. I worked hard. I didn't slack off, like a lot of other people, but. Y'all can keep going, whatever, and you know what? I'll keep securing my stuff and continuing to live, and y'all do what you're gonna do. I ain't done shit to y'all. And y'all wanted to harass me for a month until I made a song about the FCC and played it on loop and walked around the neighborhood, and nothing's been said today practically. This is a free country. I have freedom of speech, right? I'm just saying it's interesting today after I did that, it ended. And I'll tell you something else, man. You know, I'm gonna live my life. I ain't gonna be afraid. I think there's plenty of videos on this site to explain why I'm not gonna be afraid. I just tried having a channel, and y'all been playing this game, and then I wrapped my router with aluminum foil. Things went so did more, made a song, and y'all ended it at the moment. You know, y'all, man, back here, y'all are in this, where I live. You know, I moved into this neighborhood with Jan, and when I moved in here, you know, I saw 55 plus community. I was like, you know what, it's to keep all the riffraff out. Well, actually, the way it works is so you got like older parents and their kids live here, so what you kind of like, it's kind of weird, like you end up with this situation where it's an older set of people, but you still got some kids, and you know how older people, man, they got more experience in the world, so they can manipulate and all that. And no, but I actually thought that people would be more reasonable in here, and it is polar opposite of what I thought. And I mean, really, like, after being in this 55 plus place, man, I'm scarred for life, really. I mean, and then I hear stuff about the villages, and I'm like, oh man. But, oh, and you know, let me just make a note, like, something y'all should realize running around with your flipper zeros and all that, or wire sharks, or hacker RFs, or maybe someone who's smart enough to put something together and put some software on it and hit enter. You know, like, you know, if the cable companies out here ever were to take a fraction of a second of the bandwidth in these houses, or not bandwidth, but time of people's Wi-Fi, like, man, I tell you what, man, you know, like, you guys wouldn't be able to use those things the way you do, for one. And the second thing is, how do you know that they're not actually doing that? You know, I mean, they can put hotspot, they can put, you know, place stuff in people's houses where people's phones that have service with them can connect to, you know. And I know that there's some hotspots out here too, in this park from Spectrum. You know, I mean, where do you think they are? In someone's house, maybe? Yeah, but y'all need to think about, like, you know, y'all running around, you know, making all this noise and stuff, and you know, like, if they take and utilize the infrastructure they have and take a fraction of the time of every second with all these 2.4 and 5 gigahertz array they have everywhere of cable, of routers, you know, like, man, you guys don't know that they're actually doing that now, you know? So really, like, I mean, you know, I mean, it seems stupid to me that people want to run around broadcasting with devices on frequencies that phones, routers, you know, like, I mean, let's talk about, you know, Google's peer-to-peer network, you know, with Bluetooth Low Energy. I mean, you know, like, how do you know people's phones aren't, you know, aren't watching you guys run down the road or wherever you go and turn those things on, you know? Like, how do you know? You don't. And I'll tell you what, man, the stuff y'all are running around doing with those things, y'all need to consider something. You see, do you know what, if you know what the word heinous means, and when you apply it to the word heinous to law, you know, y'all need to recognize and wake up, because what you're doing is a heinous crime. I mean, you need to understand that it is considered a very, it's a heinous crime, okay? So it's not a normal crime. It has that label, heinous. So I'm just telling you, they have an array all over this country of 2.4 and 5 gigahertz antennas, and if they want to utilize it, they can utilize it. So think about that. You know, it's a heinous crime, and they have an array all over the place. And, you know, throw cameras in there, you know, all that. Like, what are you doing? I mean, do you know what buffering is? I mean, just because you drive by and jam some shit doesn't mean that shit doesn't get uploaded, you know? If they're wired, if it's a system that'll allow that. So yeah, you know, they have a huge array of 2.4, 5 gigahertz antennas in almost every house. And when you're using Spectrum equipment, just imagine what they can do with Spectrum routers and all that. So, you know, y'all have fun, keep doing what you're doing. But when they figure out a way to use this array against you, and it's a heinous crime, so think about that.